Carolyn Dube here. Oh, what's the play for today? Well, today it's going to the land of silly just a little bit as I'm playing around with a spark of artspiration and I'm finding this very unusual creature in it. It's kind of a combination of a whole bunch of stuff. Then there was an underwear malfunction with the creature, not me. And then there was the deep philosophical aspect to it. And you're going to see all of that in this video as I'm taking my latest spark of artspiration and I'm turning it into a whimsical collage. What exactly are these sparks of artspiration? Well, they are a free weekly download that comes in my newsletter. And if you're not already signed up, there's a link down below where you can get signed up and you can have the exact same spark that I'm using in this video emailed to you right away. Here's the latest free spark of artspiration that comes in my newsletter. And as I was looking at this, I saw this very strange creature. At first, it kind of had a hippo vibe to me, but it was standing a little crooked, so I decided this time, instead of painting around it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out and turn it into a piece that I'm going to collage on. As I'm cutting out, I'm not cutting out super perfectly. You can probably tell that. This is my version of fussy cutting. This is about as detailed as I like to get. And of course, once you've got this spark and you're printing it off at home on either inkjet, laser printer, whatever you've got, you can cut it out as carefully or as uncarefully as you want to. One of the fun things about these sparks of artspiration is each person can see something completely different in them. And even from day to day, I'll see different things in the same exact spark. Now, this creature did not come with a full set of toes sticking out, so what I'm going to do is take some of the scraps and I'm going to create some itty-bitty little toes for this thing. Now, there's something kind of bugging me around the tail. Where the red and the purple hit, there's that sort of gap of white, and I want to cover that up. It's almost like the pants are falling down on this guy and its underwear is showing, and well, that's just not cool to me. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a piece of purple here to cut out to about the right shape so that I can cover that underwear right up. And perhaps I'm showing my age, but I never really fully understood that fashion trend of having your underwear hanging out. Alright, so I've got a white background here. This is a gessoed board that I'm using, by the way. You could use a canvas, an art journal page, whatever you got. And I've put some of the PBO paint on there, and I love it because it's shimmery, and I was just sure that the orange was going to be fantastic with it. Yeah, that's just a little hint for you, a little foreshadowing of what's to come with this. So I got it all on there, and there is definitely more than enough on here because, well, I was awfully generous squirting it on there. One of the things about using a lot of paint makes it really easy to spread around and get full coverage. The drawback is you have to wait a lot longer for it to dry. In my excitement with this, I completely forgot to paint the sides before I did the top. It's often a prudent choice to paint those sides first for all sorts of reasons. But the big one being is I can't pick this up now without getting my hands in paint somehow. So I'm going to paint the sides on this right here on my countertop, but my countertop has paper on it. And experience has taught me that when I do this, if I leave it here, paint is going to stick to that paper. And I don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to show you a trick that you can do so that it won't happen. You're going to grab something flat, say like a palette knife that you can get under there to kind of lift it up. Almost like a jack on a car when you're trying to change a tire, you lift it up, and then you just put something underneath there. Whatever you've got around you, just to prop it up so that it's not touching that paper, and that way it can dry here without sticking to your counter. I let it dry completely. It's got an awesome amount of shimmer to it, and I was positive that this was going to be just what I wanted there. And guess what? It's so not. I don't like it there at all. So we're going to call that an oops, an outstanding opportunity presenting suddenly, and I'm going to put another color on top of it. So what is the opportunity in me getting the wrong color on here? Well, the big opportunity for me is how fun it is to have the sides a different color than the top. Because after all, this is going to be one fun, playful kind of thing on the wall, not something very serious and highly coordinated. And remember, you can get this exact same spark that I'm using here if you use the link down below to get signed up for my newsletter. This spark will be sent right to your inbox so you can cut it up and find fun characters and creatures in there too. Now, while the yellow paint's drying, what I'm going to do is find the word that I want to go with this. I've got all those envelopes over there, and each one of them has a different letter of the alphabet in it with a whole bunch of stenciled letters. What I did is I made myself a stash of the alphabet by stenciling on top of gel print So that way, when I wanted a word for something, I can easily go through here, grab the letters that I want to build it. If you want to know the easy, quick process for getting all these letters done, I've made a video and I'll have the link down below for you there. So choosing the right word to go with something this silly. I mean, it's important which word you choose, right? So I wanted something that would fully encompass the mood that I have of this big bouffant blue-haired hippo horse dog creature. And I decided to go with the word quack because what exactly would an animal, a creature like this say? Probably not something you'd expect, so that's why I went with quack. Now the yellow is completely dry, and I realized that my quack was probably going to be a little too large, so I've traded out for some different letters so I can make a smaller quack. Now there are two reasons why I love the word quack for this. Is one, it uses a Q, and I figured I'd never use up all the Q's in the alphabet that I've made. And two, it's a word that I'm very comfortable spelling correctly without having to check it, without having to get out a dictionary for it, because yes, I am that bad of a speller some days. Once I've got the letters, I've got everything on there where I want it, it's time to glue this thing down. It's time to commit. I'm going to be using a glue stick, and whenever I'm using a glue stick, I always skimp around the edges. I think about it and I'm like, I'm going to be really careful about the edges, but invariably there's always some edge that I don't glue down very well. And that's going to be okay this time because I want to tuck the feet underneath it, so if I don't get everything glued down right, I'm all good with it. Which, by the way, the fact that I actually hoped I didn't get all the edges glued down all the way so that I could tuck those feet under there, guess what I managed to do on this one? Yes, indeed. I actually got this whole thing glued down, so I'm going to have to do a little changing on how I do the feet. First, though, I'm going to put that little piece of modesty purple there to cover up those big white underwear that were hanging out the back, and then it's onto the feet. Working with such little pieces of paper, it's very easy to lose them, get them stuck to your fingers, so a wise thing to do might be, say, to use some tweezers or something like that. Since I'm generally not that wise when I play and I'm more about just let's do this right now with whatever I have next to me, I'm just going to use my fingers and hope that I can get stuff to go exactly where I want it to go. So around this point, something started to nag at me. Actually, two things nagging at me right now. One is the yellow background because there were some areas where it dried where I didn't get full coverage because I didn't put a whole lot of the yellow on there. So I thought that would kind of disappear and not be as noticeable at this point. But it's more noticeable than I want, so it's kind of bugging me. The other thing that's bugging me is there's too much open space near the top. I think I want to put another word on here, but what word really goes with quack? And yes, I really did spend some time thinking about which word would be just right with quack. I know, philosophically deep, right? Because you know, what word really does go with quack? So I chose a word and then it was back into the envelopes to find just the right colors of letters to go with it. So would you like to know my philosophical train of thought of how I ended up at Moo? Well, there was a book that I loved reading to my kids called Click, Clack, Moo about cows that type. And quack and clack were pretty close together, so in my mind they were the perfect words to pair together. Just like finding just the right red wine to go with that steak at dinner. A perfect pairing to make it complete. So if you were picking the words that would go with this, would you have picked moo and quack or would you have picked different ones? Let me know in the comments which words you think go with this little creature. Now I'd really hoped by this point that the yellow paint, I would have been completely happy with it and not noticed it, but nope, it's still nagging at me. So I'm going to break down and I'm going to get that brush out, put some more yellow on there so that finally I can stop fixating on it. Well, thanks so much for joining me for today's play. If you've been enjoying this video, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know as soon as the next one's out. And of course, if you want to see more of what I'm up to, get that spark, all those kinds of things, check out my website over at acolorfuljourney.com. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.